Alright, to start on my white pot recipe, I first went to Albertsons to pick up the ingredients that I needed. I picked up some bread, and then I also picked up some flour. There's a lot of choices here, which is something that Colonials wouldn't necessarily have access to. Same thing with the grocery store. There was just a convenient place to also pick up some sugar and all the ingredients that I needed, as opposed to growing everything on your own. I also picked up some butter, and I got some whole milk just because I figured it was the closest thing to actually milking a cow. And I also picked up eggs. I was gonna get organic eggs, but they were too expensive, so I just got regular eggs. And some nutmeg. And then instead of getting rose water as the recipe called for, I picked up some vanilla extract because Colonials used to use rose water as a sweetener, and we use vanilla extract today as more of a sweetener. So these are the ingredients that I used, and then I just began on the recipe. So I first started by cutting the recipe for paste number 1 in half. I had half a pound of butter, which was roughly 2 sticks, that I melted just to make my life easier, and I added the butter into the pound of flour, and then I had my roommate add an egg white just because I didn't want to do it. But once we added the egg white, I just began to mix it all together with my hands, and I added water as I went along just to make it more into a paste because it was more of a dough consistency, which wasn't what I needed. I also buttered the pan just so nothing would stick, and I began to lay out the bread. So I used an entire loaf of bread instead of the half a loaf, but just because I think my tin was really big. But then we started on the more pudding mixture for the white pot. And so again, we added basically half a gallon of milk and the 6 eggs. Again, my roommate helped me with that. And then my other roommate had a electric mixer, which thankfully made my life a lot easier, so she helped me out with that. And then we added the half a pound of sugar, which was about 2 cups. And so she was helping me mix it, but I just took it as the Colonials had everybody basically in the household helping out, so that's what I did. I just used all my roommates instead. This is adding the vanilla and the nutmeg. I didn't know how much of it to use, so I just kind of went for it, and I thought it came out okay. I then added the wet mixture into the bread, and I just started kind of moving it around, trying to disperse it evenly. But I also added sugar and nutmeg along the way, just so there would be a little bit more on top and all the sugar wouldn't sink to the bottom. I then added the paste, and this was where I realized that it was really difficult. Like, this was probably the biggest difficulty for me, just because the paste was really hard to work with. I wish I had made it a little bit thinner or added more water to make it easier to spread out. My roommates had their own opinions about what it looked like. This is what one of them said.
That looks like mashed potatoes and gravy.
And I kind of agree. It definitely had a more wobbly texture, but it was supposed to be a pudding, so I just kind of went with it. I put it in the oven at 325. Didn't really know, I just kind of turned the knob. And then we took it out, and it was a little bit burnt, but it was okay. It was very fluffy, so we just kind of poked at it, and then we got out a piece to try it, but I had one of my friends try it before me because I didn't want to take the first bite, but it came out okay. It was a bit hard on top, but the inside was definitely mushy like mashed potatoes. It was a little burnt, but for the most part, I think it was okay. It's basically a bread pudding. And then I had one of my friends try it out.
That's good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would eat this.
Second.
I feel like it would get really old really fast.
Mm-hmm. It's very plain.
It's good. I would eat this. Maybe I'm hungry, but I would eat it.
So it's definitely edible. My friend actually took a chunk home with her. She took that last section there. And I've had a couple other people try it out, and they think it's pretty good too. So overall, I would say that this was definitely a success.